Hello, this is Tanmay, and today I'll be telling you what are custom event listeners in Google Tag Manager. So we basically make the use of event listener in JavaScript, and on the activity of certain event that include a certain clicks, that is mouse clicks, key down, key up, and certain other scroll events. We can capture, and using that we can connect them to event listener that will make changes or to that will capture a certain element of our website. So we can also use them in Google Tag Manager to extensively use the functionalities that are available to us, and we can also depend upon the browser events that are available to us by JavaScript, that include load, like when a resource gets loaded up, and like if I talk about before unload, if a resource gets unloaded, and then other browser events include focus, blur, change. So we can use that to create a custom event listener, and we can use it to track a lot of activities of the user. So if I talk about form, uh, any interactions that are done at form. So if I show you my contact us form, so it's a simple form that has name, email, send button. So what all interactions a user can do? A user can click on this input field, or a user can just after clicking on it, it can navigate to other part of this page, or user can successfully submit this form and send it back to the GTM, or what the user can do, he or she can fill the form, and can also lead to some abandonment of this form. That means he or she navigated to the other part of this website, so that will lead to abandonment. So these are certain events that we can monitor, and based on that, what we can do, we can just um, get to know that okay, this event happened onto our Google Tag Manager, and if it is the case, we can also pass on the data to Google Analytics. So for this, making a custom event listener, what you have to do is you will have to create a tag, and the type of tag we are using here, it will be custom HTML tag. Why are we using it? Because we'll have to write our own script for this purpose. You cannot find a set template for this purpose. You'll have to write your own code, because everything will be website specific, and it will be according to your customization. So this code is very much simple, although it will look a bit complex, but we are doing some very basic things when we talk about JavaScript. So first things first, let me introduce you to this variable. Now, this is the variable that I have captured an element. A whole element is being stored here in the name of input. How I have done that, I'll show you. So if I navigate to the name of my website and I click here inspect, then I can see the hierarchy and also this name input element onto the elements hierarchy. So if you right click on this, and as mentioned in the previous videos, what we will be doing here is we'll be copying JS path here. Copy JS path you can do here, and then in where input you can just paste it in the highlighted area. So when you'll do that, the input will be captured on this variable input. And similar, I have also created a form. Now for that, I didn't have an ID, so that's why you are seeing this JS selector here. So I have also captured the form that this name input is part of. I'm talking about the highlighted form. I have highlighted this on my website. You can see it. This is the form I have captured in the form variable. Now, talking about the events that I previously mentioned. So what I'll be doing here is the first change or the first event listener I want to attach to this particular input that I captured is, supposingly, if a user comes here and clicks on my event, it clicks on my input, then I should get a certain message onto my GTM. So for that purpose, what I have done is I have used the function called add event listener. Now this is pure JavaScript syntax. You can check it in on the internet for this syntax. So input dot add event listener, and the browser event that I'm using here is focus. That means the input is focused on, and there is a cursor that is that has now appeared onto the input field. And for a callback function, I have used input callback that is created here. I'll just explain you. And for the capturing phase, I have enabled this thing by passing true value here. So if I talk about the input callback function, so in this input callback function, I have passed on pushed certain key values pairs in data layer, and that are event name custom form. Event type is the event type that has occurred. That means whatever the event occurs, right now we'll be clicking on the input field. So whatever the type of that event will be, it will be stored here. And the event target is the event.target. This is pure JavaScript syntax, and you'll just come to know. I'll just show you. And if I talk about another event, so if the user clicks anywhere else and the cursor disappears from the input field, then it will be blur event. And for the blur event, the same input callback function is being referred to. That means it is just pushing the data layer with certain event type and event target. Now, definitely for the case of blur, the event type and the event target will be different. Only the same thing will be event custom form. So for demo purposes, we have used this. So now let's test out our code for these two events. So I've already saved this, and I'll just preview these. So basically what we are going to test here is we are testing the input field, that whether on clicking it, am I getting an message into the GTM, or am I getting a proper event in our GTM. So just follow up and you'll see. Okay, so the tag assistant is successfully connected and we are on this form. Now, if I click on this form, this is a state of focus. But as soon as I will navigate back to my tag assistant, or if I click on this window, it will be a blur state. So right now it is focus, the event is focus, but as soon as I click here, it is blur. So what you'll notice is, if I click on the first custom form event and I show you the data layer, you'll see it is event type focus. But as told, if since I navigated back to the tag assistant, it fired an event that was blur. We are getting the event type value here, that is blur, and also the event target to whatever input field it was happening. The query selector is here, CSS selector it is, and there are other values as well, that is event is custom form. So as soon as you click on this input, it will be a focus tag, it will be a focus event, and if you navigate somewhere else, then it will be a blur event because the cursor disappeared. So these two are the basic events that I was talking about. So I'll show you again. This was focus, and after I navigated out of the input, then it was blur. So likewise, we are pushing the data into the data layer, and also the other values are being captured, like event type and event target. So moving ahead with the other listeners that I have attached here. So now there can be an instance where I want to track the user, whether the user submitted the form or whether he has just made some changes to a form. So first we'll see for the change listener. This is a browser event. Now, if you talk about change, so change is nothing but we are talking about the value changes in this input field. So if I click on this and I try to put in any random value, it will be definitely a name. And if I see the last custom form event, it will be definitely blur because we navigated to tag assistant, but the second last will be change. Now, why it's change here? Because in the Google Tag Manager, we have done so. in the Google Tag Manager, if I show you the event listener that is also attached to this input, the same input, you will see if any change happens, then also it is calling this callback function, that is input callback, and pushing the data into the data layer. So basically, the event type and the event target and the event name are again recorded when we make a change into that input field, like I did when I was using this random value. And if I talk about the submit, then for submit, I'll show you. So this is our form, and the button type we'll have to. So in this form, whenever we will just submit, then what's going to happen is we'll have to see the changes onto the GTM, that what the changes are actually happening there. So if I pass on random email here, and if I send this value, you'll see this, the details have been sent. And if I go to my back to my here, you'll see that in custom form, 1 minute. Yeah, so in this, the form has been submitted here, and we are getting that that label there, that your details have been submitted, and also what we are getting is that if I show you the Google Tag Manager here, you will also see another tag here, that another event that's that is abandonment of a certain form. So if I say the form that we were filling initially, it got abandoned. That means the user navigated to some other place or to some other part of this form. So I'll just replicate that condition, what I'm trying to say. So if you we'll have to preview it once again so that any changes are refreshed. And if I talk about the if I talk about filling that form again, so we'll navigate to that form. Yeah. So what am I going to do is some random value, and if I just submit it, then it is a normal submit. But we are not interested in that. So what we're interested, but we do not click submit button. What we do, we click on certain other element. So what's going to be recorded here in the if we talk about the custom form event here, then you'll see there is an event type called abandonment. That means the form is being abandoned here, and also we can get to know that okay, the user filled everything or maybe some things, but due to some reasons he or she got distracted, and that led to the abandonment of the thing. So this is how you can use the custom event listener for attaching it to certain browser events and also tracking the user. You can see the functions are not very much different. They are just practically doing the same thing, but I am just because of the difference in some things, I will have to make it different. And one more thing I want to tell you is about a function called remove listener. So if the form has submitted successfully, then I do not want before unload to happen. That means I want to remove this event listener from this. So for that, we can use this statement, and then the push will happen. So that's all for this video, and see you in the next video.